Welcome to the Crown Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Bradley Richins.
And I'm your co-host, Niko, Klus, with our executive producer, Braun, Butterfield.
We are very excited to be talking Utah sports with you all, mainly focusing on high school athletics. Our spotlight that we've chosen for this week is North Summit High School, and specifically their dominance in volleyball, and then this year in girls basketball specifically. So, Niko, take us through volleyball. What's made them so successful the last few years, taking state 3 times in a row?
I think what's been so successful is that a lot of these teams the last 3 years have young girls on them, whereas those we're going to talk to later, Kennady McQueen, she was a sophomore last year, and she competed in the state title game to get that experience for this year. And when she was a freshman, I think she was playing as well. And so they get these younger kids that come in and contribute right away, and then that sets up the team for a long success, where how often do you hear of a team winning 3 state titles in a row in any sport?
That's a good point, because the first and second ones would be hard enough, but the third, like, how do you? It's difficult to stay motivated for the third championship in any sport.
When the hardest thing is they played the same team all 3 years, Enterprise
Wolves, yeah.
And
they're
so
always tough.
what do you stay motivated for? I mean, you walk in, you're like, oh, we've already beat these guys, but it's going to be easy. And then this year they went to all 5 sets, so it came down to the wire. It wasn't a walk in the park, but they were able to pull it off. So it was good that they found a way to stay motivated.
I think that's a good point, because developing youth, so the person we'll be talking to later on, Kennady McQueen, like you said, she's a junior, but she's had experience playing in basketball and volleyball this is her 3rd year now, and she's been playing in these high-tense, high-octane situations. In volleyball, in 3 state championships, in the state tournament, and in basketball, she's been in the state tournament as well. So I think that's a good point. Instead of just having juniors and seniors starting, and this is for any sport, starting the players low as freshmen and sophomores gives them more experience, and it lets them grow in those situations, so that when they are juniors and seniors, they're used to it, and they can be accustomed to it, and they can make the most of that.
And I think when they are freshmen and sophomores playing, they get a mental edge over other teams when they become juniors and seniors, where they know how to handle the pressure, they know how to handle everything that's going on, the obstacles that may come in their way, the injuries that may come, where if you don't get that experience when you're a freshman or sophomore, it's kind of difficult to handle as a junior or senior, because you feel like it's falling on your shoulders the weight of the team is, whereas you know how to deal with that a little better. You get a little better mental edge than everyone else.
So volleyball, for sure, North Summit's been dominating for 3 years straight. Like you said, they went to the 5th set in the state title game, and playing the Enterprise Wolves, who were always
they're always a top 3 team,
always a top opponent in there in 2A volleyball, and they're always in the mix. They always have good athletes down there, and they're very well coached. So it's really kudos to North Summit for being able to adapt and stick their.
They found a system and it works, and their coaching staff has done a great job of bringing these girls in that are younger and pretty much making them play right away and letting them learn, and then obviously helping them out so they're able to win.
They obviously have a good group of girls, so they'll be able to raise their hand and say, hey, we're here, and they've been able to win 3 straight, so that's great for them. In the volleyball perspective, now, girls basketball, this year has been a really successful year so far for North Summit. So, like we said, we'll be talking to Kennady McQueen later on in the show, who's a star athlete in volleyball and basketball for North Summit. So she's a junior, but freshman year they beat Enterprise in 5th place game. So they took 5th place and in 2016, and in 2017 they also took 5th place. And they beat Wasatch Academy that year. And that year McQueen was 2A 3rd team. So they've been able to get through the playing game, which we know can have a lot of tension that week building up, because
it's a high pressure situation for every team.
Because it's win or go home.
Yeah, you're in or you're out.
It doesn't matter if you're the 5th seed from a region and you're playing the 1st seed. The 1st seed will have a tough game because anything can happen.
And we watched last year in the boys basketball, Summit Academy got bounced by Juab in the 1st round, a team they shouldn't have lost to.
So we see that all the time. But North Summit, they've been able to, the last 2 years in girls basketball, they've been able to get through the playing game, but they haven't been able to capitalize in the quarters, and they've fallen both years, the last 2 years in a row, and then they go on to win the next 2 consolation games. But talking about McQueen, so her freshman year, mainly focusing on her statistics, so she averaged almost 10 points per game with 23 pointers made, 50 rebounds, 46 assists, and 47 steals, which is really good for a freshman.
A freshman playing varsity, those are stellar stats.
Like 47 steals, 46 assists, and then she's got boards and she can score the ball. So that's a really well-rounded overall player already at that point. And then you jump to her sophomore year, where her freshman year she averaged just over 9 points. So her sophomore year she averaged over 19 points per game. So she jumped 10 points, and then she made 35 threes last year, so 15 more threes in her freshman year. And then she almost tripled her rebounds, going from 50 rebounds to 134 rebounds, and more than doubled her assists, almost tripled her assists again with 122 assists and 146 steals last year, which is over 5 a game.
And you can tell just from freshman to sophomore year, there's a gap in there where you can tell who worked in the offseason and who didn't. And she clearly put in the work to almost double and triple some of her statistics as a sophomore.
5 steals a game. Like, you got to be active to be able to achieve that in boys or girls basketball.
Well, it's not just getting steals. They're turning into points too. And so she's able to create opportunities for her team to score more points.
So that brings us to her junior year so far this year. So she's beaten her point average as well that she was there last year. So she's averaging just less than 21 points per game with 35 threes made already, 108 rebounds, 70 assists, and 79 steals. And that's still with 7 games remaining for their season at least, because they still have 6 region games going on, and then they have the playing game. So they can go anywhere from playing 7 games to 9 or 10, and she's put up some gaudy stats so far. So she's put up a good campaign this year for her junior year.
A good campaign, and she's set herself up and her team up to make a run at the state championship this year by putting up these numbers. And obviously, when one person's playing well, others are going to play well.
So that's Kennedy's statistical individual stats, but her team currently sits with a 15-1 overall record. They're the top of Region 16-2A at 5-0. The Duchesne Eagles are just behind them at 4-1, and North Summit's only loss of the season was on the road to Emory Spartans, who are the first-ranked team in 3A. They haven't lost a game. They're 16-0, so it's not like North Summit's losing to Cupcakes. That's a good team they lost to.
It was only a 10-point loss, so yeah. It was a good game.
So, and McQueen has help. It's not like she's their only scorer on their team. They have Brecklin Murdoch, who averages just over 9 points a game, and Gracie Watterson as well, who averages just under 10. So there's almost 20 points between those two combined. But you look at North Summit, they're ranked second in 2A, and I think it's hard to find some challengers who are out there to challenge them for the crown this year.
And I don't exactly agree with the ranking due to the fact that their lone losses come to the number 1 seed from 3A.
I'd agree
but
with you.
It is what it is at the moment. Obviously, rankings won't matter come tournament time. But I'm not sure who can compete with them because they're winning by a lot, and they're destroying teams.
So you have the Beavers who are ranked ahead of them, like we said. We don't necessarily agree with that, but it is what it is for now until North Summit can ultimately prove that they're the best of the best in a few weeks. Then you got some more challengers. You got the Kanab Cowboys. They have 2 players who average in double figures, in Brindley Cornell and Sidney McDonald. They average combining 25 points per game. And then the Enterprise Wolves, they're usually good in volleyball, so they're usually good in basketball as well. And Ronnie Robinson's their leading scorer with 13 points. But we talked about their domination, North Summit's this year. They're averaging scoring 65 points per game and allowing opponents 39 points.
That's great defense. You're killing teams. You're keeping them under 40 points, which is very hard to do. That's less than 10 points a quarter. And so their defense has to be spectacular right now.
So the North Summit averages winning right now by almost 30 points, and that's ridiculous. So the games they're playing aren't even close, and we talked about staying motivated, winning championships in a row. You might think that it's hard being motivated, killing teams by 20, 30, 40 points every night.
But at the same time, they haven't won a state title in almost 33 years in North Summit in basketball, so that might give them that motivation they need to go on and win a championship this year.
So North Summit girls basketball, 15-1 on the season, 5-0 in region, looking to make a run at the state tournament. One of the top teams in 2A this year are the North Summit Braves, who are 15-1. They own a 15-1 record on the season. Their lone loss coming at the hands of the Emory Spartans, which was a game on the road. Emory is the first place team in 3A, and the North Summit Braves, they are one of the main reasons they have such a good record this year is Kennady McQueen, who is a junior at North Summit. She's a star basketball and volleyball player and a recent commit to a university which will be named here shortly. And she's on the line with us now. Kennady, how are you doing? Thanks for joining the show.
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No worries. Thanks for coming on the show. So we were just going over some accomplishments throughout your high school career so far, and we'll just start off with an easy question. So you've been a star athlete in volleyball and basketball, so just tell us straight up, what is your favorite sport and why?
Definitely basketball, and I think it's my favorite because it's a huge deal in my family. Everyone plays basketball, and I like it because it's a game that you can always improve on.
And 3 straight volleyball championships. Tell us how hard it can be. Easy to get complacent with winning 1 or 2, but the third one would seem to be the toughest. How did you stay motivated for that?
I think it's something that not a lot of people have the opportunity to do, so you should never take advantage of winning a championship, for sure. So that was one of our main focuses in practices, where our saying was never satisfied, and so we never were satisfied, for sure.
Was the third one the hardest, would you say, to win?
Yeah, I definitely say so.
And that game went to all 5 sets, didn't it?
Yes.
So that was a tough one to win, but that's good that you were able to stay focused.
Yeah, for sure.
So we know you've been heavily recruited. So when was the first time you realized you were being heavily recruited? Like, were you a freshman, or when was that when you started to realize that these schools are taking a look at you?
Yeah, I think it really hit freshman year.
And what was your initial reaction to it all?
I think I was so excited because it finally proved that hard work paid off. So I think that feeling was the best to come of it all.
And did you ever feel as if you were going to be recruited to play college basketball, or if that was an option for you?
Yeah, I think so, because my mom played college, and so just her constant telling me what I needed to do, and I knew I was doing it, so I think I knew that it would pay off at some point.
So you said your mom played college. I was going to ask if there was a certain individual who you try to pattern your game after. Is it your mother who you try to pattern your game after, or is there another person, and if so, why?
I think my mom, for sure, because just from watching her film, she was always such a hard worker. So I always try and work as hard as I can every single game, no matter the circumstances. So.
And having your mom play college basketball, did that add pressure to you to play better or to be better, or was it more of a helping issue with you, where your mom was able to help you more than she was able to anything else?
Yeah, I don't think it was pressure. I think just she was always on me to become the best I can be. So I think that helped more than felt pressure.
So your mom being there watching you, supporting you, was more of an assistance rather than a hindrance on you?
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So take us through the recruiting process. So like how many schools were pursuing you? What were your top 4 or 5, and what campuses did you end up visiting? Stuff like that.
So I had 15 offers to choose from, and I visited out of my top, which were Texas Tech, Gonzaga, Boise State, and Utah. Those were my main 4. And so I visited Gonzaga on an unofficial visit, and I really liked it there. I also visited Boise State and then Utah, and Utah was my very last one, and it was unbelievable, for sure.
Well, and visiting those campuses, what was the biggest takeaway you got from going to each campus?
I think I got to spend a lot of time with the players there, not just the coaches, so to see what kind of players they have there and what kind of environment it will be.
And were the players the one that gave you the tours of the campus?
It was a little bit of both. So at some schools it'd be like all the coaches and then a few of the players, or just the coaches and then I'd meet the players later. It was a mix of each.
And what was your favorite campus that you went to visit? Which one was your favorite?
Utah.
Love staying in state.
Yep.
Would you say staying close to home was a major factor in making your decision?
I think it was definitely part of it, but it all just came down to where I felt the most comfortable in family environment. So, and then that just ended up being in state, so it was perfect.
Yeah. So, that's definitely good. You get to play out your dream while being close to home. Not a lot of people get the opportunity to do that. So, you're only a junior, and you've already committed to the University of Utah Division I school, and there's a girls basketball program is very quality. So, did you start high school as a freshman?
Did I start as a freshman?
Yes.
No, I was the sixth man my freshman year.
Okay. And how was that role? Did you like the six-man role, or did it matter whether you started or came off the bench?
Yeah, it didn't matter to me at all. I just wanted to do whatever it took to get the team to win. So if that was coming off the bench, I was definitely okay with that.
Okay, so you played the six-man role freshman year. What area, since being a freshman to now being a junior, what area of your game would you say you've improved on the most since that point, since being a freshman?
I think shooting. I've definitely put a lot of time into my shot, so increasing percentages and being more efficient that way.
And along with that, what facet of the game would you say you need to improve on most going into college if you've already improved your jump shot that much?
I think definitely just working on my mid-range game. So if you can't get all the way to the paint, be ready to pull up for sure.
And what kind of workouts and coaching are you getting in the off season to keep you, progressing towards where you want to be when you get to college?
In the off season, I play with my club team, which is Colorado Premier in the Nike circuit, and so I'll go out there every weekend in March and April and practice in Colorado, and then once we get into tournaments, I'll do 2 days of a skill session down in Orem with a coach. So.
And who's your coach for that club team?
Keith Van Horn.
A Utah alumni.
Yep.
And I'm a big Utah fan, so this is making me very happy right now.
That's awesome.
Did he? Can we say? Did he persuade you? Was Keith Van Horn aware of your circumstances of who was wooing you to try to come play, and was he aware that Utah was trying to get you to play?
Yeah, he was definitely aware of it, but he didn't put any pressure. I think he just wants his players to go where they feel is right for them.
What's it like learning from Keith Van Horn? I mean, you get being on a circuit team, that's a pretty big deal, and you get a lot of one-on-one help. What's that like with him?
Yeah, for sure. So practices, he definitely helps players individually as well as a team. So
Kennedy, your team is 15-1 this year so far. Like we said, the only loss coming at the hands of Emory, who's a really tough team. They're undefeated this year, and they're ranked 1 in 3A. So, but you have the best record in 2A. You're ranked second. You're behind the Beavers, but so only having one loss to a quality team like that, what would you say has been the key to success for your team so far this year?
I think definitely our defense. That's been our main focus this year, and I think we play a defense that is really hard to score against, and we all play so hard and work hard on the defensive end. So I think that's been the biggest thing.
So it's been, I don't know if you know the answer to this, but we were looking it up when we were doing this. It's been 33 years since North Summit has last won a girls basketball state title.
Yes.
And what would that mean to you to win a state title for North Summit after having a 3-decade drought?
I think it would mean the absolute world because my mom was a junior actually the last time they won it. So I think it'd be super cool to do that again. And then I think our girls basketball program works so hard each and every day in practice that it would just show that hard work pays off for sure.
Last question, Kennedy. What do you look forward to the most heading off to college and being able to play for a D1 school like the U?
I look forward to developing into one of the best players I can be, and then I'm hoping to help Utah win its first Pac-12 championship, and I think that'd be super cool to be a part of.
Well, Kennedy, it's been a pleasure to be able to talk with you. We wish you good luck the rest of the way, and we hope you're able to end that drought of the 33-year without a state championship, and you're able to bring one home back to Colville. And not only that, we wish you luck going into college, and we hope you a good, successful career there at the University of Utah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep, thank you.
Bye.
Now it's time to turn the tables. What we're going to do now is we're going to present each other with a certain situation, and then we're going to explain to each other what we would do in that certain circumstance. So, first question, Niko. If you were the NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, would you exercise the right you have, and would you have changed the outcome of the game last week between the Saints and the Rams?
It's such a tough question to ask, but at the same time, natural instincts say yes.
Why is that?
Well, if you were watching the game,
I was watching it
with a minute and a half left,
yes,
and there's a good chance it was pass interference on the 5-yard line going into score in a minute and a half.
Yes.
You probably seal the ball game up and win right there, right? Kill the clock.
Yeah, but you have aggregators out there who say, oh, the refs also missed a call on Jared Goff when he got face masked.
See, but at the same time, it wasn't at a minute and a half left in the game. It was, earlier on in the game. There's always missed calls. There's always going to be missed calls. But when you're in the 2-minute situation, I think those refs need to tighten up what they're doing. And obviously they didn't. And so, yeah, I would probably have to change the outcome of it. Not change the outcome, but go back and say, this might be different. It might be obscure, but the rules in there in order to do that, and let them replay that last minute and 37 seconds.
Yeah, the way I see it, it's just unfortunate the way New Orleans has lost the last 2 NFC Championship games. Last year on the Minnesota Miracle, and now this.
And I don't like that it's called the Minnesota Miracle because they got crushed by the Eagles the week after.
True that. So, yeah, I guess 2 years ago last year it wasn't the NFC title game, but it was the one before the divisional round. But I see your point, but I'm indifferent towards it. I don't really have an opinion on that, so I'll disagree with you.
Okay. You're just going to agree to disagree.
Yes.
I like it. First question, Brad. Your star running back comes up to you and says, I'm going to sit out of the bowl game. But you want him to play because you want to win, right? You're his coach. You recruited him. You wanted him to come to school here. Mm-hmm. And you're like, well, we've done all this work. And let's say it's a semifinal game. We've done all this work, and I get you want to be safe, but what was the point of all this work?
So
what would you do?
Depending on where the athlete is in terms of his enrollment at the university, so whether he's a freshman, sophomore, junior, I would try to be understanding because, like you said, yes, I want to win, and I want to plug him in, and whoever's going to give me the best chance to win the game and give us a shot at winning the national championship game, I want in the ball game. But ultimately, as a coach, I hope that I care about their well-being more than the game, and I wouldn't push. I would talk to them about it, obviously, and I would say, I'd really appreciate it if you played in the game, but I wouldn't push it on him and make him feel guilty or anything like that. But I would just, these guys are young adults. They're 18 years and older, so I think they have the right to make their own decision.
But what if he has a degree? Like he's graduated, he has his degree, so he's going to be able to find him a job in life and take care of himself, regardless of if it's in the NFL or if it's in whatever field he goes into. Would that be a little bit different of a scenario for you?
No, I don't think so. I think I just stick with the first answer, and hopefully as a coach, I would, in this fictional circumstance, I would like to think that I'm like a good coach because we're in the semis. we're in the semis, so. And
you told their mom you were going to take care of them.
That's right. So I would just stick with that one. So that's how I stand on there. Question 2, Niko. We all know that you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, correct?
Thank you very much. But at the same time, don't thank me.
If you were the Kansas City Chiefs organization, you know they just fired their defensive coordinator.
Finally.
Would you hire one Rex Ryan as your defensive coordinator?
You might disagree and think I'm crazy for saying this because how much I dislike Rex Ryan. But he is a very good defensive-minded person. And he's been a great defensive coordinator before. Do I think he'd fit in with the Chiefs? Probably not, because he's a little too outspoken, and Andy Reid's not that type of coach. And that's not the kind of system he has, of being outspoken, having outspoken coaches. I mean, you've seen the coaches that have gone on off Andy Reid coaching tree to be head coaches. They're pretty laid back.
Yeah.
They don't run their mouths a whole lot, and Rex Ryan is talking smack 24/7 as much as he can.
Yes, he is. You can see that on Get Up when he's on ESPN in the mornings. He's just mouthing off.
Yeah, mouths off. He doesn't like any other team, but if you hire him, he'll love your team but talk smack and then get all this hype going and then come crashing down if your defense does terrible.
So I agree, that he's able to galvanize the troops because of his personality and his aura that he brings to the table. Saying when he became coach of the Jets, when he was saying that we're going to the Super Bowl this year,
which was surprising.
Yeah, but that's good. But yeah, I agree with that. They need someone, and taking a chance on someone that is passionate as he is. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it can't be any worse than Bob Sutton. I mean, 31st in the NFL, and you're in the AFC Championship, and you get into a shootout, and you just end up losing because your defense can't make a stop.
Yeah, that's tough.
Okay, Brad. There's a big issue with refs going on right now.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a couple different people. You're the NBA commissioner, NFL commissioner, and you're trying to fix this issue with the referees. How do you fix it?
So I think something I would do. So you look at the officials, especially in the NFL. Who are they? You know, they're older. They're elderly. They're not as fast because they want experience, especially in those high pressure situation games.
Well, yeah, all those refs this last weekend were like 12, 15-year refs. So I mean, they had the experience.
Yeah, so I think they take experience over physical health, but I would start to, I might want to stray from that. I might want to take younger refs who are quick enough to move down the field, to have vision to see the calls that are being missed by these older refs. I don't know, that's a hard thing to say about officiating, but that's something I would do. Is I would try to take younger officials so that
go in a younger direction,
so that they're more agile and more capable of seeing the field and getting to the spots where older officials may not be able to get in a position where they can see what's going on in the play.
Would you do the same for basketball?
Yeah, I mean, in the NBA, there's always going to be bias with superstars, and for example, when the Jazz were playing I can't remember who it was the other night, but they were playing someone who was
Blazers.
in town. Yeah, it might have been the Blazers, but they Dame Lillard, Russ, Harden, they'll always get those superstar calls, and I think there will just be bias in that all the time. But if they can, yeah, why not? If they can go younger, then why not? And I feel that may be able to fix the problem, but who knows?
I think a good thing would be to start fining them, the refs, for missed calls or misjudgment calls, because they got to be held accountable too, right?
Well, what was the game this year, Golden State and Houston, when Harden hit that game winner in overtime over Draymond and Clay, when Durant took like 7,000 steps out of bounds,
and the ref was standing right in front of him.
Yeah,
didn't bat
exactly.
an eye.
So I would agree with you there. I wouldn't mind that at all. So, last question for you, Niko. We've all been watching Duke, right?
Zion.
It's hard to not watch them this year. So if you were Zion Williamson, a lot are projecting either him or RJ Barrett to be first in the NBA draft. Would you sit out the rest of the season and prepare for the NBA? Why or why not?
Probably not, due to the fact that he doesn't have that much experience playing at a high level. Granted, he's dominating college right now, but college and the NBA are two different monsters. Where if you can get used to playing at a college level, it won't be as hard to adjust to the NBA when it comes to how physical they are. And so I wouldn't. I mean, he's in a great program, a winning program, and so if I were him, I think I'd just have to keep playing, even though you are going to risk that chance of possibly getting hurt at one point. But at the same time, you need experience in order to win big. You got to keep playing in all these games to get experience.
When Zion was asked about that last week, he said the same thing, basically, that he can't let his teammates down, and there's always a possibility of catastrophic injury. You look at Paul George and Derrick Rose, but it's taken him a few years to bounce back, but the kid's only 18 years old, so.
Yeah, he's still growing. We want to thank all of you for tuning into this week's episode.
Let us know what you thought of this episode by following us on Instagram @Crown Sports Podcast and on Twitter @Crown Sports Pod.